to kids.
Start the meeting. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. Call the meeting to order. Roll call shows that everybody's here. Can I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion made by Pete and seconded by Dick. All in favor?
Right.
All opposed? Okay, as somebody make a motion on the previous minutes of November 28th.
I'll make a motion. November 28th. I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next we go on to correspondence.
I don't have any.
And then, anybody else have any correspondence? We'll go on to administrative department report. Yes.
All right, a couple of updates. One, I have scheduled an area professional development event on this Thursday, the 26th. We have an opportunity through our Division of Extension to do a workshop called Strengths Finder. It's a fairly commonly used assessment tool that identifies 5 strengths based on an assessment tool. And so it's been probably since early 2019 since our whole area has been together. So we're going to do some professional development. All of the support teams are invited and all of the educators are coming together. We have a facilitator from our extension HR team who from Madison that's coming up, and we'll be going to Winnebago County. So just want to let you know that we're gonna that the office will be closed and we'll make all the necessary postings for that day, but it's too good of an opportunity. It's a great opportunity for everybody to get together. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. The other thing, just some staffing updates. One of relating to, I sent an email to the committee. When I send it to the whole committee, I do usually blind copy so somebody doesn't accidentally reply all, and we have a walking quorum situation. So the updates that I have, and I can provide some just a little more, as much clarification as I can, but then also some input from this group because we still have some opportunities to go forward. Very quickly between our last meetings, Jessica had an opportunity to take a temporary role working on a state broadband initiative. This is a continuation. She has done broadband work previously here locally. That was part of what the micro network led into her previous work. Jessica also had the opportunity to, she was asked to be a facilitator for the governor's broadband task force a couple of years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago. So she spent close to 18 months facilitating and working with the group moving forward. And a number of the individuals that she had forged networking relationships with are still part of this grant. So it made some sense for her to be her talents and her skill set match up very closely with the grant. At this point, where we're at now is Jessica is taking a temporary role. The grant runs through September 30th. It could extend if the grantor says you have a little bit more time. It might extend a little bit until so there's some 2 opportunities that we have an opportunity to look at. Is one, to do some interim program coverage to bridge between roughly February through September, early October, to provide some community development programming, and that's the first set of input that I would welcome from you. Is this would be a 0.6 or about 3 days per week role. Because of Jessica's position, it's not a full, there's some technical funding and HR things in the background. So that's step one. And then if or when, if there becomes a vacant position, at that point, then we could, if this turned into something else and Jessica were to continue in this grant funded position that might be more permanent or something else, then it would be a vacancy, and then we'd have another opportunity for engagement and maybe a bigger opportunity to see what the role could, community development role could look like, with some of the new, we can look at the needs of the county and the surrounding area and see what we could, how it would be best fit, how it would best fit. So that's it's a two-part. The other part could be is that at September 30th, Jessica could return. She could opt to return back to the county to her role. Though I think that's not incredibly likely, considering the events of last fall. But it is at this point, it would be an option for her with the way that our HR system and the workplace rules are. So short term, the short term opportunity would be to have the interim program coverage. So roughly for the year 2023, give or take, it would be a focused 2 to 3 day. Obviously there would be some flex throughout the year where the work period to a position to be focused, because it would be a limited term. We would be a limited term. We would have a lot more. We could do this a little bit quicker with our hiring. Our LTE process allows us to be able to recruit an individual based on the skill sets and go through our local screening process and be able to appoint someone to that role for that shorter period of time. So the recruitment would, or what we recruit, or what the skills that we would be looking for might vary depending on what the position, that interim program focus would be. So for example, so just to give an example of some of the things that Jessica has been working on, and then a couple of things that are still within the community development realm that Jessica hasn't, but could be part of a position focus, or it could be part of the longer term strategy. So the leadership Waupaca County is a program area. There is a local networking project that Jessica was working on called You Belong, and she's reported on that. It's a social connectedness, community networking project that is also not just, it's part of a broader statewide and national initiative. A couple of the other things. So Jessica was involved in the transportation group, and also had so with her areas of expertise, with the child care initiative, was involved early. Her role wasn't as strong most recently, but then there are continuing education opportunities as they progress even farther. So she was going to become more engaged within her facilitation role. There is the Main Street communities. That probably would not be one that I'd recommend for the interim program coverage, because those initiatives are usually 2 to 3 years in length. So it would be something that may not be able to commit to. And then another area of focus in the Community Development Institute that Jessica has not worked on, but I just want to put on the radar is community food systems. There's a lot of work in community food systems, which does tie in very closely to the work that Haley and Christy do with food nutrition education, but it's more so on the systems and the policy systems and environment pieces, which that is an area that both of them and even Amy in the Living the Waupaca Way and the Hunger Network are contributing at some levels, or actually quite a bit. And it would be more of a community systems. Also working to find, in addition to that, is to work with local producers to provide them some entrepreneurial type training and resources so that they can develop local or regional distributions, so that the smaller scale, some of the smaller scale food businesses and farmers are able to work towards success and have successful outcomes. So I just wanted to put that out there, that is one that I do think that there would be an opportunity here within the greater Waupaca County that we don't necessarily have. We don't have the community development part of it. We have we definitely have the through the work with Living Waupaca Way. So there could be some additional pieces to that. Questions and comments?
Is this a shared position?
I can 100% guarantee that the interim program coverage would be only Waupaca County. So in some respects, that one would be. Now, I would also say that if and when we look at longer term, I will fight very hard to make sure that any community development longer term is going to be focused on Waupaca County. And I need to put the asterisk is that if we hire them and they have if they're a state employee, they will have some state responsibilities. That's part of the partnership. So it's one of those things that
You missed all of that.
I was gonna say, what did you do?
Thank you.
You're gonna have to-
They blocked me.
All right, so apologies. I unmuted on the Zoom, but I failed to notice that the microphone was off. So that's where the conversation, is,
At least we all.
moving, yeah. But that'll be the longer term, I guess. One of the things that I would welcome, the feedback is, with the interim program coverage, and what, some of the focus areas that this group feels, I can or should focus on, within the 8 to 9 month period of time, or until we have a better idea of whether this will be a longer term, whether we can look at it longer term, and have that conversation.
Okay, so apparently there's people out there listening, so I think it'd be fair to catch everybody out. That it's
Okay.
the community development coordinator. Is that the title? What is Jessica's?
The community development educator.
Educator.
Yep.
And she has the opportunity to work with the state on a different project part-time. So we need to look at filling the time that she'll be away from Waupaca County to cover her responsibilities here.
Correct.
And that money is coming from the money we already budgeted.
Yes,
for that.
yes, it's part of the contracted services agreement, so that would not change.
Right. So I think that would catch everybody.
Yeah, and that would be the $45,900 that's already included in the budget.
Agreed on that.
Yep, I remember that, yeah.
So,
So we wouldn't have to get the blessings of other committees. I'm thinking the way
Right.
finance has control us.
yeah, no, at this point in time, the contracted services agreement would, the amount of dollars for this role would be included within that our already signed agreement. And we do have some conversations relating to that moving forward, as far as looking at IT and one other small piece that was already part of the conversation. So this is actually a great time to have these conversations as we're looking at the contract itself.
How hard is it gonna be, or easy do you think it's gonna be to recruit someone? I mean, do you have some feelers out there? You have some ideas of?
Well, one, I don't know. I think it could, it could be equal parts difficult and equal parts easy. So where I say that is, it is going to be a limited term, part-time or 0.6, appointment, or, appointment, a role. That there are some people that might be purposely looking for something similar to that, and there may be another where we might be in a marketplace where that is going to be very difficult.
I want to note that I came on as an LTE,
Yep.
and that was my appointment, was a 0.6 at the time, and I was coming back into the workforce being a stay-at-home mom, so that was really nice with the flexibility of the 2 to 3 days a week. So that might be a nice target area that we're looking at for that
So
position.
Today, you're just giving us a heads up that this is happening, and if you're looking at fleshing out responsibilities. Or
I actually,
from us.
I would like, so thinking about what Jessica did in a couple of the community development initiatives that I had tossed out, I want your feedback on how to flesh out the interim program position of what would be the immediate needs that we could accomplish in the 6 to 8 to 9 months, or whatever the amount of time is for that role. While we also then, this group engaged with a larger audience would then get to work towards longer term solutions once we know that we're going to work longer term. So I do want some feedback, because I want to make sure, because like Lila's, the concern, I have the same concern about finding an individual. However, what we get to do, because it's a short term, is we actually get to use anybody that you recommend or might be interested. We get to use word of mouth, we get to use our connections to possibly identify somebody, and they would have, and then we would have good communication. So that and I still have some paperwork and stuff to do before we could bring somebody on board. That's where the February timeframe comes. It is almost February, so I'm really hoping by and that's part of, so that's part of where the recruitment piece, because if we do have to, do a little more formal recruitment, that'll take a little bit of time to see if there's anybody that's interested. So I guess thoughts on immediate program needs, and also realizing that it would be 3 days a week.
Or it could be 5 mornings.
Yes, or it could be 5 mornings, or if it's a very specific project, or if it's a very specific project, it could be, 5 days for a certain amount of time, a week or 2 off, and then, another, 1 to 2 week, things like that. There's a lot of flexibility in how that can and could work depending on what the identified immediate needs are.
And I think it would be best left up to you guys to decide that, what works best for the position. I don't think we need to get into the weeds on the 0.6 part of it, just as long as we know that it's 0.6.
Yes.
And,
Yep.
Do you need a motion from us?
I don't need a motion. I just, if this group had some priorities, initiatives of things that Jessica was doing that we'd like to continue, or if any of the other community development areas were like, hey, that could be an immediate need. That's the info that I would very much welcome to make sure that we're moving forward in it.
Like you say, as long as it isn't long term, because it's just a temporary position.
Right.
So I mean,
well, I think to keep the continuity of those food programs and the transportation, all those things are important to a large segment of our community. I think we need to emphasize that. The leadership thing, I think it's important, but it serves a very small group of our community. So I still think that's farther down the line, even though I think it's a great program. But I think we need to focus on we only have her or that person, him or her, for a short amount of time. Let's have them serve the greatest amount of people that we can.
Okay.
You mentioned, and if I have these right, she was working on You Belong, Leadership of Waupaca County, childcare, the transportation piece, and the community food systems. And it sounds like I'm new, so don't take anything I say to heart, but the childcare and the transportation piece of it just seems to be like what is new and what part that it seems like a real need right now.
Yeah. And one of the things, like, for example, with the transportation, Jessica was very involved at the beginning, and then her next role with doing some of the facilitation, and she's been active, but then she was really gearing up to lead a major portion of it starting in February or March. So that would be, so engaging. So there would be an opportunity for engagement, and that I would need to reconnect with Jeff and Ryan to see if this group said, hey, yeah, let's connect, keep engaged, extension needs to keep engaged with transportation, then I would touch base with them and find out, okay, what roles or where do you need? Because that would affect who or how we would recruit.
And Ryan from zoning.
And
Jeff from
economic development.
And I think those are, because they are new projects, I think we have to stay on top of it, stay involved, because long term, I think this committee and you guys are going to be involved with that for a long time if we can get them to take off.
I think that the transportation aspect touches on a lot of our other programming that we do in extension too. And so it might be a really nice encompassing role that intertwines in all of our programming. And Waupaca County, I might not have the exact verbiage of how this is worded, but the pilot of the Catcher Ride was launched as a countywide email. We all got that information sent out to us, so the county is helping to promote that program too, so that might be a
Yeah,
really
that
nice
reminds me,
aspect to focus on.
that I need to give kudos out there. There was a Facebook request on the sheriff's department's Facebook page that elderly lady in the New London area needed a ride to Appleton to see her husband in the hospital. She couldn't drive and she didn't have, and my wife Kim takes care of that stuff, so she mentioned it to me. So I remembered the program, so I directed her to, I think it was somebody in your division that said, hey, this is just starting up, this is great, and they contacted her right away. She left an email to the sheriff's department on how quick a response, because it was minutes. That from when Kim heard about it, to me, to you guys, to that lady being contacted with a resolution to her issue was minutes. And I just thought that's exactly what it was set up.
Mhm.
That Catch a Ride program is the transportation project that Jessica had been a part of.
Okay.
Yeah, with the grant that she helped to receive and.
Yep.
Mhm.
She did a lot of the grant writing process. for
Yeah.
that.
That's great. I love hearing those stories
Yeah.
and that, it's working. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And the other thing that I mentioned to Chris that I think some of you may know or may not know, the Leadership Waupaca County program had a steering committee for like 15 years. Like there is a steering committee for Leadership Waupaca County. So I think one thing that I would really suggest is like for the Leadership Waupaca County, that steering committee hasn't gotten together in like a year and a half. I would suggest that person bring back together whoever might still be willing to be on the steering committee because they haven't been asked to meet for quite a while. To see once, what ideas they have and because I know I was on it and there had been some, past graduates of the program and other interested people. And but to at least connect with that steering committee.
And get them back involved.
Well, I think that was part of the goal of having the steering
Right.
committee was so that it didn't fall on,
Who was the chair of that?
well, Jessica would have called the meetings. And it was,
She's still working for us a little bit, right?
Um,
I mean, we can ask her to, hey.
Right, no, we can have
All in
access,
together,
we could do that.
I have access to that list.
Correct,
But, it would basically, it was set up as like, that steering committee would review the evaluations from the year and just give input.
Right.
They didn't, they made decisions, they would review the applications years ago. I think in the most recent, probably 2 or 3 years, that wasn't happening. I think it was, people just signed up for the program more so than, like we're either accepted or, not enough space type of thing, because there is a limit on how many people is an effective group to work with
Right.
in a detailed program or in-depth program like that. But the committee would recommend topics and I think there had been some confusion, I'd say, on what the educator's role was and the steering committee. And I think that had just gotten a little more jumbled isn't the right word. I can't think of the right word, but on who really had the final decision, which early on when, this is again, the historical Tom Wilson, Mike Polis, the steering committee would provide input. you know, well, what about this location? What about, you know, this speaker? Like, you know, what about doing an education day? Like, it'd be more,
Well, I think it's
suggestions.
I think it's a good time for that committee to get back together, reevaluate the whole process
And with that person.
and- right, and determine the proper approach to the program now, or if there's something new, or, you know, now would be a good time to reevaluate the whole thing.
I think that's the intent, when it gets settled.
Yeah.
So just a couple of things, if for the immediate need,
Yes.
if both leadership Waupaca County, even if we did it as is, or we engage feedback, both of them are incredibly time intensive process, and that would be the only project probably that we could have an individual that would work on in that short immediate period of time. Not to say that they may not be able to do some of the facilitation, but to implement a program would be not impossible, but it may be more, I guess, it's time intensive. The other transportation, you belong, or community food systems, not going to say they're any less time intensive, but there could be some opportunities. There would be some ways to ease in, and a new individual to ease in and work and connect in those areas. And I'm happy to go either way. I'm just listening to the conversation and trying to find some themes.
Whoever the person may be, you know, it could be this. They could head the steering committee, it's a he or she, that's where I'm at the problem.
They could.
They could also be the facilitator for the meeting to get input. And, you know, and then you could start your way like that.
Right.
You know, to get the steering committee back going.
I was only
All you
looking
gotta
at,
do is facilitate it,
Yeah.
and you listen to everybody else and she writes it down.
I was looking at it be like the steering committee would be like one meeting. Like, you know, to just,
Keep the project
Right.
rolling. I mean, speaking from experience, having had interim roles in the past, it was really to bridge the gap between, you know, of immediate absence and a longer term plan. And that longer term plan may be more intense, may have new projects, bigger ideas, you know, new needs assessments. But just when there's absence, groups don't often continue meeting, or the extension supports that can be provided from the state, you know, that connection is gone. And so really just continuing to continue that relationship between extension and the state resources that we can provide, and the work that Jessica has been doing is the most important. The new projects, I see the food systems being a new project that would be very time intensive. Leadership Waupaca County has been going on for many years and could continue in the form that it has been existing rather effortlessly, especially having Amy, who's provided a ton of support to Jessica and knows the ins and outs of that program. You know, and then when a role would be filled in a full-time capacity, if that's what were to happen, that wasn't Jessica, it could look very different, or it could, you know, have some new aspects to it, but just continuing that the relationship between the projects, I think, is the biggest piece that's.
I think that's the way I'm looking at it, is that we need to keep everything moving forward,
Yep.
even if it's just a little bit,
Yep.
because if a program like Leadership Waupaca stops for a year, the effort it would take to get it
Back home.
re-going and is way more than
Even like
just.
and that's been happening over the last few years with COVID,
Right.
and then, you know, trying to do it again.
So
COVID has been a good opportunity to press the reset button. Things that maybe were unraveling a bit, or there's individuals on the steering committee who are ready to be done. Maybe that was a great opportunity for them to just say, you know what, we haven't met in a year and a half. I'm ready to be done. However, we have had two or three more classes probably since the steering committee has met. And so maybe there are alumni who are ready to sit on that steering committee.
We need to. Do we need to say? Make a motion to get the steering committee back up and going?
No,
Well,
I
I
think,
just think it's been dead for a year and a half.
right, I think,
We gotta show,
I
that's the
think-
only way to show concern.
well, I think we've let these guys know that.
I know,
because they're, but the,
you're involving other people other than us here.
but what I don't wanna do is to start micromanaging.
Oh, I agree.
Right.
No, you're
So
right.
I think we're giving them some appropriate direction.
Yep.
On what's important, or what we feel is important. And we let you guys start to run with it.
Okay. And that's, I do think that you've given some direction, some advice, and the conversation was good, and that's what I was looking for, so that then I could scope the position, or, you know, the temporary position, but also we can continue to have conversations about what longer term, once we know a little bit more. So, okay. So this is what I hear. This just so that leadership Waupaca County and transportation would be higher priorities to keep moving forward. And I heard that leadership Waupaca County would be 1, transportation would be 2. Or are they a tie?
Well, for
Here's
the transportation
Yeah,
part is more important.
Okay,
Because there is such a great need.
okay.
Right.
And that's fine. I'm just trying to think how we recruit, right?
Right.
So that's where,
Yes.
you're not saying that they're totally different skill sets, but, yeah, this is the information that I needed so that we can move forward, or continue moving forward.
And it might change in 4 months.
Oh, and it could,
It might
Yeah.
change.
right. So, okay,
Before we know it, it'll be September, and then
yes, yeah.
then we'll have a better idea.
Just real quickly, couple of things, just area wide, and how it might affect, I'm hopefully very soon, gonna announce the Outagamie County Lifespan and Financial Security Educator. That is the companion position, or it's the same position description as Tiffany, working there. That will also help solidify looking at the positive youth development role, the 3-county positive youth development role. Now that I can work with the existing educator to see what the potential opportunities might be. And also then be able to look and re-engage all of the counties and the partners to make sure to see how that could work. So that's to be continued, or hopefully, I don't think we'll have anything in place by March, which would be the first quarter of the year, but or we may have a decision on whether that's going to move forward or not. So that does have some Waupaca County impact. Also just want to just a neighborly update. On the January 17th, Outagamie and Winnebago County began their regional crops educator with Kevin Jarek. And we are hiring for the regional dairy educator that's in Oconto, Shawano, Outagamie, and Winnebago counties. That position will be posted soon. So I just want to let you know, neighbors are exploring the regional ag model. So there might be able to be some feedback down the road of what that could look like, good or bad. So we'll keep you in the loop there. And that's all I have for staffing updates.
You're through state updates, or is that?
Yep. Yeah, and then just the update on the all colleague conference was another item. And this could be where other staff, I can go from my perspective. It was a great opportunity for our staff to be able to see and meet a lot of new faces. We had a lot of hiring and new people, a lot of retirements and things happen within our organization. both Amy and Haley took advantage, our county staff took advantage of the invitation to participate in some of the professional development in the speakers, and I've chatted with both of them and they appreciated the invitation, the opportunity to both connect and also to meet other people that they've worked with and they might know by email or phone. And I think that's also all of us. There's some people that were like, oh, you have feet, which is funny because it's like, we've done so many Zoom meetings that we know what their faces look like, but so I thought it was a great experience. The planning team did a good job in providing the right amount of opportunity for on your own network and connection and engagement, but also professional development. And I don't know real quickly if any of the others have anything that you wanted to share.
I think it was a motivator of just ideas that you can move forward with in your programming. And just a really great opportunity for professional development that we sometimes get caught up in our work so much that we don't prioritize or like take the time to do that for ourselves. So it was a great opportunity to just put everything else on pause and have that at the forefront of our minds for a couple of days.
Yeah, I agree. It was nice. And as a support staff, it was really great to have that invitation and be able to attend. I know the last couple of years that really hadn't been included. But the workshops that I took were specifically for communication and leadership skills, which in my role, I think is really important with interfacing both the public, community partners, and our educators. It just makes for a more efficient office.
Okay, that's it. Then we'll go on to educator reports, Penny.
I don't know that I've done a report since we've been in this format. Where should I sit or stand? Do I stay here?
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
You.
Right in the middle. 'Cause I don't want to have like my back to that. Okay, I want to do just a few quick updates from the written report that I had shared, and then I will share the other educational piece that I had brought. Over the Christmas break, you'll see in my report, we did offer, that is one, our 4-H clubs are, one of the requirements to be a 4-H club is to have youth involved in leadership. And so each of the clubs elect president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, all of those roles. And we offer officer training usually. And this year it just got, the fall was just hectic and then I was homesick and anyway, so we ended up planning officer training over Christmas break, which it was something we tried, we weren't quite sure. And we had 21 kids that came over Christmas break, which was really pretty good because we usually have about 35 when we did it in a normal time of the year in like October. So we thought 21 was still pretty good. And I taught the treasurer section, which is very interesting, trying to teach like some of those treasurers are like 9 years old, how to write a check. And I copied a receipt that I had from Dollar General of, some Christmas things for crafts for 4-H is what I said it was. And, like having them look at the receipt to see what the amounts were and like to just, kind of get that together in your head. And so it went good, but it's a learning process and it's good. I mean, we need to learn about that financial stuff. And but anyway, so that officer training turned out well for us. And we also have coming up Super Saturday. This is our large soup or Saturday is what Haley always says to me. It is Super Saturday. And that is our largest project training opportunity that we do each year. That is our largest 4-H event, besides when the 4-H members attend the county fair, which is a county fair event. But we have close to 300 people usually every year. And this year, we're just working on the registration. But if anybody wants to mark their calendar to come see a usually pretty fabulous 4-H event. It is March 25th at Manawa Elementary School. And Manawa is wonderful. We use 15 classrooms usually in the school. And we just are very careful about cleaning up. We take pictures of every room before the event, so we know what it was supposed to look like when we get there. And we do set up on Friday night. But to have that many people, and it's only 4 hours and it's very fast, and then we're done. But that is coming up March 25th, like I said, and we have.
That's a grade school.
Yeah, yep, the elementary school, and we have, it's from like 8:30 till noon, basically, and the young people can choose from 3 classes to attend. We have everything, we have woodworking, we have painting, we have, Dr. Schaffner has agreed to come in again and bring like parts and stuff that he's gonna dissect from animals, as a vet science class. I tend to stay away from that room. Just all kinds of different things that you can imagine, cake decorating. We had a meeting last week that really, it was great. We talked about trying to get the, like Theta Star flight helicopter. We aren't sure that'll work this year, but I am gonna contact the Sheriff's Department K-9 again. They had come to a dog meeting last year, and that was really, really well done. And I just have to share, I have one young person in the group. We were really aiming high last year during our meeting. It was probably one of the most fun meetings I've been to in a while. And one of the young people sent an Instagram message to Lionel Richie because they thought we should ask Lionel Richie to come to Super Saturday and Miss America, because Miss America is from Wausau. And so she Instagrammed Miss America, and Miss America replied and said that, you know, you do have to do that through an online request to have her come, and there is an appearance fee. So we may not have Miss America at Waupaca County Super Saturday, but we tried. And so anyways, it's a wonderful committee that I work with. It's like 10 or 12 youth and adult volunteers. People have, like, I put the date in the newsletter, and now we're to the point, people are calling me and saying, oh, I want to teach, what do you need? And one young person from Clintonville, she already sent me her write-up. She's like, I want to teach 3 classes this year. I'm like, okay. So it really is just a highlight of the year, and a great leadership opportunity for some of the youth to be teaching, and also just learning about all kinds of 4-H project areas. One other thing that this committee may be interested in, and the rest of the county, I did facilitate a meeting in December with our leaders board and the Plat Book Committee from our county, along with Mapping Solutions is the Plat Book company. We did sign a contract, or the leaders board, not our office, the leaders board signed a contract that there will be a 4-H sponsored new Plat Book in 2023. So I know people have been waiting for that because our last one is 2019. And yes, Plat Books do not sell as much as they used to. We are getting 750 books. Our last contract was 1,300, and we're down to about 750. No, 500. We sold close to 750. I mean, before that, we were getting like 2,500 books and stuff. And so it is less, but there are people who still want a Plat Book. And there is an option with this contract. People can purchase, it's the same price as a book, but they can also purchase it as an ebook. So they would get a code, they could put it on their device and have it on their device if they want it that way. And I know, you know, some people also ask, well, can't you just get that online? But, you know, the broadband issue, and I mean, some places, a lot of people use it for hunting. And, you know, you're in the middle of the woods, sometimes you don't have reception. Or just looking, it also shows where the private hunting lands are and things like that. So we will be having a new plat book coming out in the summer. So and the last kind of fun thing that before I do my presentation, I had an idea back when we had one of the first snowfalls, and it was a really good packing snow. And I started talking on a regional Zoom. I'm like, maybe I'm just gonna do a snowman contest. And, you know, it was like, well, how do you judge a snowman contest? And, but anyways, so I ended up doing it, and Haley made me a great brochure. We put on, it's only been on our Facebook page, and well, I did send an email out to people, but what it has really done is garnered some interest in our Facebook page, which I think is good. And all people have to do is they just have to take a picture of a snowman they build and they submit it. We're just going to do a random drawing. 2 people will get Culver's gift cards is what we're doing. And they're all due February 14th, but just it is really the creativity of, and I advertised it really also as like, take some time with your friends or family, go outside, you know, get some fresh air, be creative, build a snowman. And so this last time that I've been posting the pictures on Facebook a couple at a time. And the last time that post reached 966 people and had 219 people engage in that post on the Facebook page. And a lot of our others have like 25 engagements on a post. So I think one of the big draws was that one of the snowmen was actually an upside down snowman with the hat on the bottom and the boots sticking out of the top of it. And but anyway, so people love just seeing it and sharing it with their friends, and then they share it. And so that's just been a fun thing to do, just as, you know, something different, and having people get outside together. And I keep getting pictures now, and I reposted it when we had the snow day last year. And since then I've about doubled the number of snowman pictures I've gotten. So there's hopefully you see more snowmen around the county. Any questions on any of those or other things from my report? We also have Teen Leadership Winter Camp coming up in 2 weeks that I've been working on also. There's about 50 kids coming together, and we're doing it at a camp here in Waupaca County this year. We're doing it at Spencer Lake Camp here in Waupaca. So we'll see how that goes. That's the first time we're going there.
Private. I didn't know that. I thought that was they did.
They rent it out as a retreat center and as a camp. We, like, you know, as a 4-H program, we're able to use it, even though it's like people don't have to be, you know, like a certain religion to use it and things like that.
I know,
So
they're working on it all fall.
yes, they have some beautiful facilities out there. And so the project I had wanted to share today, Chris had mentioned some state responsibilities, and some of those state responsibilities are things that we can choose to work on that will also relate to work we're doing in the county. So it's hopefully a win-win. And the project that I'm sharing, I was a part of, like over COVID, we did a number of take and learn, we call them project boxes. And so I'm on a committee at the state level where we kind of would share ideas about project boxes, and it would be intended for things that young people could take home and do some learning at home when we weren't able to get together in person as often and there were restrictions. And so this past year, there's the Wisconsin 4-H Foundation. Oh, so I'm talking about a Discover 4-H. Can that be forwarded, or do I do it?
If you want.
Okay, So, we had, does it matter that it says preparing live
I
stream?
have never seen that.
So this past year, the Wisconsin 4-H Foundation is a private entity that raises money for 4-H. And the committee that I was on, we were able to apply for a grant through the 4-H Foundation. And I am a co-chair of the Take and Learn Committee at the state level. And we partnered with, there's another group called the Virtual Learning Community, who offers educational Zooms throughout the year. So that what that means is that anybody in the state can participate in these things. So any young person can sign up for those. And what we did, we offered 4 things. The first one was we had photography and cake decorating. We had about 175 people that were on a Zoom trying to learn cake decorating at once. And that's a lot of people to try and keep straight on cake decorating. But it was a young person from Calumet County that led it. She did a fabulous job. And now the 2 that I'm a bigger part of is the Cloverbud series for grades K through 2. And then there's a Discover 4-H series for grades 3 through 6. And 2 colleagues and I created the Cloverbud series. And some other colleagues did the Discover 4-H series. And I'll pass around, this is one of the lesson plans that I created. I did not do the graphics. So that is somebody at the state office that took all of our lesson plans and made them all look uniform to be graphically appealing and things. I just did the content for the lesson plan. And counties were able to opt in. So like Waupaca County, I opted into this. So I was able to advertise this to Waupaca County families. It's for 4-H and non-4-H. Anybody could have signed up. And we had about 30 counties opt in to do it because a big part of it, like you see the supply list on the front page, there's supplies for each of the lessons that the educator needs to put together. And so about 30 counties opted in. And between those 2 boxes, we had over 500 youth from across the state that registered to participate in this. And that grant, what that grant did was we received money to help pay for the supplies that we were giving families. So it's free to the families to participate. There are some things that they would gather at home, but for this Cloverbud one, it's things that are very common at home. Well, like I said, I worked with 2 colleagues to do a series of 4 lessons. I compiled 2 of the 4. And so the one that I'm sharing with you, the one that I'll talk about is one that I am leading then. Next week, Tuesday, I will be the one leading the statewide Zoom on this lesson plan. So any kids in the state that signed up will be able to come on this Zoom, and I'll be leading it from my office and they'll all be participating. We had, or I'll get to that picture there. The lessons correlate, what our lessons were about for our series was, one is head, heart, hands, and health. And so that's what they relate to as the 4 H's. And the lesson that I handed out, the day you begin, what we're doing for this lesson, we're actually doing the Chex Mix first. And I had adapted this from a lesson that Christy and Haley had in one of their educational materials. And so it's page 3 in the lesson plan that you have. And this is just where the families, this is one where they would supply whatever they want to put in a Chex Mix. It could be 2 things from their house. I mean, they don't have to go buy anything. They can put together whatever they want to. But we just talk through the 5 senses. And it's really just to kind of get you, you know, kind of calmed down, ready for the lesson, you know, to stop thinking about everything from the day and things, and to really think about, you know, what do you see and what does your, you know, your Chex Mix, like take a piece in your hand. What does it touch like? You know, what does it feel like? Like if it's an M&M, is it smooth? You know, those types of things. And so going through the 5 senses, and then we'll do a little reflection on that. And then they'll be able to eat that Chex Mix. While we go back to page 2, this one just got a little out of order. We'll go back to page 2, and I have this book, it's called The Day You Begin. And these lessons came from Ohio, that they have a variety of kids' books that they make lessons around, so that you have activities that correspond to the message in the book. And this one talks about, so we'll read this. There's actually, there is a video of the author reading it herself that we will show on the Zoom. And so she'll read through the book. And this one talks about, like when you walk into a room, you may think nobody is like you. And once you start to talk to them and share something about yourself, you are all unique, but then you may have things that other people are really like you. And so that's not the moral of the story, the theme of the story. And so there's some questions on this page 2 of the lesson plan that will talk about, you know, one of the characters is Angelina. What was Angelina feeling during most of the book? What happened when she shared her story? And when she shared her story, then others were like, oh, my sister has the same name as you, you know, like, so it's just, you know, even maybe just a small thing that you can connect with somebody else. And we'll go through that story, and then we will do the back page, page 4. We will move into the activity with it. And this is like what would be in, this is the bag that they'll get with the supplies for the whole Clover Bud series. And it's like stickers and ribbon, straw rockets, you'll see soon. We did that the first one. They'll get 2 stones, some paint, and the next one after my lesson, they have cake mix in here. And so we put all these things together. I like to shop, so I only ordered a little bit from Amazon. Otherwise, I went to like every grocery store, you know, in New London, Manawa, and Waupaca to get Angel Food Cake Mix and Devil's Food Cake Mix. But then the activity here, we'll be doing some rock painting with positive words on it. Or, you know, some type of word. They could write on a word that makes them unique. And so, you know, we give them paint and the paintbrush and rocks that you can paint on. And then there's some example words they could do. You know, you could write that you're a friend. You could write that you're loving or helpful, and just a word that describes you. And these we will encourage them just to put like around their house. There is a movement in some communities where you have little stones like this with words on them that are just like laying around the community. We'll encourage them to put them in their house, and you know, somebody maybe in their house can find it, or they could put it in their neighborhood. And then if we have time, there's an additional lesson where they'll put a fingerprint or a handprint and trace it on a piece of paper. And then they would put on each of the fingers 5 things that make them unique and special about themselves. And so this is just one of the lessons that I had compiled and adapted for this series. And the first one that came in the series, so this is, Haley had helped me, Haley Nelson had helped me put together the project bags. And, you know, we had to just print copies of everything, cut the ribbon, you know, all of that stuff, and put it all together. So of those 500 across the state, we had 27 youth register here in Waupaca County. And we put together those bags of supplies. And the sessions are over Zoom, so people can do them from anywhere. They're recorded and they'll be on a link for people for 30 days. So if they miss it, they can still go back and watch it. And we chose to do our first session in person here, also as a way to get people their bags of supplies. And that first one was straw rockets. And we did this at the Lebanon Town Hall. I have a little connection there. My husband's town chair, but I asked the clerk, I went through the proper channels, but they have a really nice big screen TV that is hooked up to be able to do meetings like this. And it worked out really, really nice. We had only 3 families that came, but that was okay. We had others that stopped in to get their bags and just couldn't stay for the night. But so then a colleague of mine was on the screen going through what they needed to do. They saw a video about NASA and rockets taking off and what that looks like. And then they made their own straw rockets. That is for Meisters from the Clintonville, Marion area. And then here are the other 2 photos of them trying to blow their straw rockets. And I did make one mistake. I stood at the line, like trying to, I'm like, okay, can you guys get it this far? Can you hit me? Well, then they started hitting each other. Okay, forget I said that. Don't be blowing straw rockets at each other. You'll poke an eye out. But so yeah, it was just really fun. Even though we only had 3 families, they had a really good time just making the straw rockets. And you put like the fins that are out, so it's a small straw inside a bigger straw, and then the end is closed, so you just blow into it and it makes the rocket go. And you put the fins different places and then the rocket goes different ways and everything. So just an experimental thing to see how rockets go. And that is the end of my couple pictures. But so that is an opportunity that I worked at the state level with colleagues, and it's something that we're able to bring here and have people utilize here within our county. So I had just wanted to share that this morning, and that is what I had. I don't know if there's any questions or comments or anything.
One question, where'd you find the angel food cake mix?
Well, I don't know.
Shortage of-
Well, and that's, somebody said they're like, yeah, they're like the state of Wisconsin is gonna be out of angel food
Oh,
cake
it's
mix.
hard to find.
Well, and that's because it's expensive too. It's not like regular cake mix. So I did get some at Walmart in New London. And I actually ended up, I did get some at Aldi's, I believe, and Piggly Wiggly here in Waupaca. And then I had to go back to Piggly Wiggly because I was short. So then I had, like, instead of the store brand, I had to get like the name brand so that I'd have another angel food cake mix. So yeah, it was a couple different stores. I got some supplies at Dollar General, some things at Dollar Tree, and some things from Amazon. Amy ordered like these rocks. I wasn't gonna try and find 30 rocks at my farm that were flat to paint on. So
In the snow.
we actually bought rocks, which, you know, I really, you don't think you're ever gonna do that, but when I live on a farm, I don't think I need to buy rocks, but we did. So yes, it was a little searching for some things, but like, you know, the paint at Walmart, you can get a 12-pack for a certain price. So like I said, I like shopping, so I just would look for the deals and pick stuff up.
Oh, geez.
You're fired.
Okay, thank you, Penny.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Thank you. And I will share that Super Saturday flyer We don't have a meeting in February. I will write myself a note to get that, I'll send that over email to you guys when we have that ready, if you'd like to come. You wouldn't have to pay the $10 fee, you can just come and watch and walk around and check out some of the classes.
Kind of soup.
It's just soup.
What do you-
Hey, I might make soup.
You might make
Brilliant.
She might make soup, cause it's soup or Saturday.
What day is
That's
that?
good.
It's March
Have to.
25th.
Oh, that's Manawa.
Yes.
When's that meeting in Spencer? Spencer.
That our winter camp, that is the 3rd through the 5th of February. That's in like 2 weeks. We have a lot to do in 2 weeks. Like go to an overnight 3-day camp. Yeah.
Are there any outreach education or program reminders and announcements from the staff?
I just wanted to share that Tiffany provided a written report. She is, she's beginning to do some of her outreach efforts and is working with one of her colleagues on presenting Be Scam Smart. So she's working with presenting that, and then that will be something that will be part of that she's going to be able to offer here locally. So she's working on a couple of those things. She just wanted me to share that she's not skipping just because she's gearing up and
Monday morning.
trying to do her as she's getting ready for doing outreach programming. So
Hey, well, if there's nothing else, then I guess
Motion to adjourn.
we're adjourned. This mentioned, next meeting is March 27th.
Yeah.
No meeting in
Yes.
February.
yes,
Okay.
We don't need one in February.
well,
G can have that higher position than.
could be close, but I guess I'd like to be optimistic, but the realistic part of me thinks that it might stretch into early March.
You have
So
no idea yet or not.
no,
And if anything happens, you know.
right,
Yeah, I can always
Yeah.
follow.
yeah, okay, yeah, I'll stay in touch.
Okay.
Wasn't that